on that. It just become part of our day-to-day job. That way, we monitor those vulnerabilities very closely now, and we usually don't have any outstanding vulnerabilities sitting for a long time. As soon as we identify something, we immediately try to resolve it. It does take some time, as any change in the system requires some notifications, alerts to be sent to the customers, right? So it has system. There will be system impact when it happens. So we have to plan for the upgrades and all that. But now we are doing it much more faster and much within a week. That's our goal. To as soon as it's identified, we try to resolve it within a week.
All right. And what about more proactive approaches? So do you have risk mitigation plans in place or something of that sort as well?
Can you elaborate on that?
You know how in this case it sounds like your approach is reactive, right? So a security incident takes place and then you fix it. Have you done something to perhaps prevent such things from happening in the first place?
We do have controls in place to avoid anything. So all these security vulnerabilities, this is from something from outside of Sabre happening, right?
Yeah.
Internally, we do. So even if somebody accesses Sabre system, they still will not be able to log into our platforms. They will not be able to log on to the applications that are housed on our platform because we have the access control on each of those applications set.
All right.
This is just to prevent any outside people, logging into the Sabre systems. So we make sure that access is not to the platform, but even if they hit the platform, they will not be able to access any of the applications on the platform. So we do have those controls in place. Yeah.
All right, brilliant. Right. You mentioned a cloud migration to AWS, right? And that was scrapped in favor of Google Cloud. So are you managing the cloud aspect of this still, or are you not working on that project anymore?
No, I am working on it. So I am responsible for all the platforms, the ETL and BI platforms, and their migration to cloud. So I have done that for AWS. We migrated Talent to AWS, but while we were in the process of migrating the other platforms, it was decided that we move to Google Cloud. So now we have been working on the Google Cloud setup, and we have done a few POCs, and we have a dependency on the enterprise operations team. They are not ready for the migration yet. So from the next quarter, we'll be working on our migration.
All right. Can you tell me a little bit about why the AWS migration was scrapped? What happened there?
So it's a Sabre-wide decision, right? So it's
all right.
Sabre signed the contract with Google.
Got it. So what exactly will the benefits of this migration be like? Are you hoping to reduce costs or reduce downtime further, anything of that sort?
Probably all of them, because so I can give one example. We had the Hadoop systems. We bought it. It was sitting in our data center, and it took 1 year for us to be able to connect to that, have all the connectivity done, and be able to actually use the system for development work, for developing products on that. So it's and the same thing can be done in a day now on the cloud. So that's a huge improvement, right? I mean, 1 year of productivity was lost with the on-premise model. Now the same can be done within a day or two.
All right, perfect. So, right, and this project isn't complete yet, right? This is something that you'll be working on next quarter.
Yeah. I mean, it's a 2-year project. It will take time, but yeah, we have started the prep work basically on the POCs. We are trying to find out what works on the cloud, what doesn't work, what needs a workaround. So we're working on that right now.
All right,
but once we get the support from enterprise operations, the background databases are created, then we will start our migration.
All right, perfect. I'd like to talk about the top 3 IT projects that you've led here, right? So can you think of the biggest or the most important or the most impactful 3 projects that you worked on here, and can we talk about those one by one?
Sure. I have to think now. Sorry.
All right. Can you think of one?
Yeah, we had the recent one was the Cognos migration project. We upgraded Cognos and also migrated to new servers, and we also had the there are 2 projects that I recently worked on and managed. One is the Cognos migration to new servers and upgrade. We had we were several versions behind because anytime we do the upgrades, we had to get the support from application teams for them to test their applications. Right? And it's a shared platform, so we need agreement from all the business units to test their applications. So it was not done for a couple of years, and we were several versions behind. And then once we were on the Cognos 10 version, and there were multiple minor versions, but there was when we were ready to migrate, the new version was Cognos 11, which was a huge. It was one of their biggest upgrades because they completely changed their architecture, completely changed the visualization, everything. So which required a lot of changes on the application. Each of the applications, we had several thousands of reports on Cognos platform. So managing that project end to end, it was one of the biggest challenges that I had. Making sure all the teams are on the same page and resolve the issues that they face and provide the technical support needed for them. And finally, we had everything migrated successfully to Cognos 11. So that's one of the biggest projects that I had recently. And there is another one that's Talent migration as well. So we migrated Talent to AWS. That also required many changes on the back end. So Talent was connecting to Hadoop big data platform. And so we did not have any security set up on the Hadoop side. So Hadoop team added the Kerberos and Sentry, which is the way to authenticate the users. So before that, anyone who has access to Hadoop can access all the data, which is not safe because there is a personal PII data on that. So to make sure that's controlled and meet the compliance requirements, the Kerberos and Sentry were set up on that, which meant that all the applications running on Talent needed to be updated. So that was also the same process that we went through, having all the business units, making sure that we had the weekly meetings with the business units, provide the technical support needed, and there were multiple changes happened at the time. The upgrade was one, and the security setup on Hadoop was another one, and moving to AWS was another one. So this was a major change for all applications teams. So we had to make sure that we provided the support needed to be able to successfully migrate.
All right. So for each of these projects, I also want to know if you were managing, let's talk about them one by one. Actually, let's talk about the Cognos migration first.
Okay.
Were you managing a budget for this?
So for our team, we don't have the allocated budget for this. Like we don't have the project codes and anything, because our budget used to come from the enterprise operations team. So this is we used to have this before. Like we used to have the set budget allocated to us, and we used to charge that to the business units. But we haven't been doing that for the last couple of years. So it's just that how fast we can do it. That because it was going out of support. So that was our that was a critical component that we had to keep in mind.
Got it. All right. So, and you said you mentioned that you were several versions behind, right? Because of having to generate buy-in from all business units. So was it challenging to suddenly migrate from Cognos 10 to the most recent version? Were there any challenges associated with this?
Yes, multiple challenges, right? Because all applications had to be updated with the new version to be able to run those applications in the new version. And several new features were added, several features were deprecated. So we were between IBM and the application teams, making sure that we resolve it, or we get IBM's help to resolve any issues that application teams were facing.
All right. So you're interfacing with those. Got it. And how many applications were associated with this?
We have close to 500-600 applications and thousands of reports.
All right. Any other project management challenges? Was there like a timeline associated with this that was difficult to adhere to? Anything of that sort?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, numerous challenges on the timeline side, because it's hard to manage, get the priority from all the BUs. So each team has their own priorities, and each team has their own timelines. So we had to make sure that we work with all the teams, and this involved a lot of work on both technical side and on the project management side. So we had the weekly meetings. We had to work with their product management team, their project managers, to make sure that we meet the timeline. We provide the support on from our side to make sure that happens.
All right, understood. What about like project management methodologies? Were you using Agile or something of that sort here?
We use Kanban because this is not planned work. Right? I mean, we don't know what issues we face. So on the operation side, Agile doesn't really apply very well. So we use Kanban for the. But when I was managing the development work, we use Agile.
All right. Can you think of any other technical challenges for this Cognos migration that you led, that you were able to resolve?
I can't remember anything specific, but we had numerous one. I mean, I have the list somewhere, but I can get that later maybe.
All right. I would just need any significant challenges, not like smaller ones. I know there's lots of issues with every project, but like any significant problems that you faced and that you were able to successfully resolve, please share those with me. All right?
Okay.
All right, so the Talend to AWS migration, you mentioned that there were issues with the security on the Hadoop end, right? Were you able to fix that, and if so, how?
So this is all, every application had to be modified to be able to connect to the Hadoop system after the security is, there were configuration changes that needed to be done. We provided the guidelines, and the application teams are the ones who made those changes.
All right. Okay, and then were there any other issues with the Talend to AWS migration, or was the rest of it smooth?
Yeah, I mean, there were connectivity issues that came up, and there's access issues. And just the cloud knowledge itself. So we had to provide that as well to the developers, because this was all new for every team.
What was the impact of this migration?
So this actually improved the security on the Hadoop side. It improved the performance on cloud.
Anything quantifiable?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
That's all right. No worries. I'm just asking in case you have something quantifiable, right? Don't worry if you don't. Right. So we talked about Hadoop. I want to talk a little bit about big data also here.
Sure.
In your resume, it says that your big data footprint grew to 5.2 petabytes, right? So is this something that you brought about? Did you make this happen?
Yeah, I mean, I managed the Hadoop platform for a while. I mean, I currently don't manage it now because it has grown so much that I had to give it to someone else. But I did manage the Hadoop platform, and so the growing the data, it's the organic growth, right? We start adding new applications, so that's how the data got so big. So it's the organic growth from the application side on the platform.
All right. And what was the what are the applications of this big data footprint growing so large? Were you able to utilize this data in some way?
Absolutely, yes. So this is primarily the shopping data that was added, which kept increasing, and that's how the data has gotten so big. And there were several marketable applications, products were developed on top of that data. So having the data in Hadoop has enabled many of the teams to develop several applications on top of that helped our customers.
Can you give me like an example of a super impressive application that has resulted from this?
Yeah, there is a dynamic availability project that came out of that that helped many airline customers to be able to price the customers, provide the right price to the customers, which help their ultimate revenues.
All right. Okay, perfect. There's another thing in your resume that I wanted to talk about. It says here that you led several strategic initiatives towards the maturity of the enterprise travel data warehouse platform. Tell me a little bit about this.
So yeah, this is the one that where we had the process improvements where we had the process improvements done. Also the capacity planning. So wherever there is a new project, we used to have just take what project we get and find out that the system is not doesn't have the capacity for that. So had the capacity planning added to the new project request. And we started having the conversations with product management teams to identify what, at the beginning of the year itself, to identify the projects that are coming up. That way we can be prepared on the platform side, make sure that the platform would be ready for those projects. So that helped quite a bit in keeping the system ready for those projects. Used to be that we get the project, we just keep working on it without evaluating the cost to the platform, right? So that changed with this, having the frequent calls with the product management team and have a session with them on the identifying all the projects coming up for that year.
All right. It also says in your resume that this led to a reduction of technical debt and application auto recovery and data quality improvements. Can you elaborate on how this happened? Because I don't understand the link between these two things yet.
So one thing is the monitoring that helped us to identify and resolve the issues. So when we identify an issue that we started having conversations with the development teams and the product management teams to make sure we fix the root cause. Right? From our side, we identify the root cause, and we temporarily fix the issue so that the application doesn't fail in production. But it keeps repeating, right? Until the root cause is fixed. So we had reached out to the development team, so we fixed the root cause so it won't happen again. Otherwise, we used to spend so much time on just repeat issues, that helped. The fixing the root cause helped us reduce that number of issues happening repeatedly. So we fixed a lot of recurring issues that way. So that's how we improved the system performance as well.
All right. Any significant recurring problems that you can recall and give me an example of?
We recently had one that was happening for a couple of our airline customers, and we started getting the untranslatable characters in the data. So when we extract the file to send the data to the customers, the job used to fail all the time. So it's every single day. It used to fail every single day. So this is valid data, but it was failing. So what we did was instead of deleting everything, the whole thing, we proposed a solution to replace that. Whenever there is a untranslatable character, we propose to the development team to replace that with something, some other value. That way, the whole record is not lost, which was what we used to do before, because we cannot change the code. So we used to, as a platform team, we don't have access to change the code, and because when there is a production issue, it has to be resolved right away. Right? We cannot impact the end customer by not sending that base file.